Hello, YouTubers and fellow hams. Well, this field day I was in Kingman, Arizona, so I decided to visit with two of the local clubs. We'll start with the Mojave Amateur Radio Club, and they were set up at Lewis Kingman Park, right along historic Route 66, near downtown Kingman. The Mojave Club's antenna farm was set up in a field within the park. They had several antennas, some strung under pilot lines between the trees. One of the problems with field day is that stations will interfere with each other, or desense the receivers of each other. I spoke with Rick, K7RLW, about their solution to this particular problem.
So I'm here talking to Rick, and your call is
K7RLW.
K7RLW.
Yeah.
You know me. So anyway, we were just talking about antennas and what you're doing to avoid interference. And there's a little trick that you mentioned that I thought would be a good thing to talk about. Something to do with a quarter wavelength?
Yeah, basically we're keeping all the antennas a quarter wavelength apart. And that's if you get a null, you have to, if you're within a quarter wavelength of another antenna, you put two dipoles in there. One's going to talk to the other.
Right.
So if you plan it out, let's say you have 80 meters, the way we did it was we had 80 meters. Well, we want to stay out of anywhere within that quarter wavelength to put in the other antenna. So we go outside of that 80 meter area, and then if we have a 20, we're going to stay a quarter wavelength away from the boundary of that 80 meter.
Right.
And it works out good.
Right. Because at a quarter wavelength, you're at the zero crossing point of the wave, and it's kind of a null. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So neat trick. Yeah.
And then plus we're keeping, our original idea was to have the end fed go down and have all the dipoles. If there was going to be dipoles, well, we would have the hot leg of the antenna, the most prevalent, on your coax, the center, pointed away in an angular pattern, and we wouldn't be at the 45 degrees. We'd be somewhere between 22 and 35 degrees or so, and that seems to be the sweet spot.
Yeah.
So at least the takeoff angle is, it's not a low level and it's not a high level. It's kind of, in between, but it works.
Yeah. So a little bit of planning, you can get quite a few antennas and cut down on the interference.
Sure.
You don't eliminate it, but you probably cut it down quite a bit.
Yeah, plus we limit the digital stations to lower power. So I think we were 10 watts on the digital
because they're 100% duty cycle, so when they're on, they're on.
Yeah. And unlike phone, well, it modulates and goes up and down.
Right.
If the mic gain's up too high, and I've been on these guys that keep the ALC kind of down. Oh, watch your ALC meter. We don't want to be splattering and all that stuff. So
yeah, and then with CW, you've always got the pulsing, but yeah, it makes sense. That's a good trick,
and it's worked so far. We're going to put up a couple more antennas tonight, so just plain that's what field day's all about.
All right, well, I'm going to go over and take some pictures of your antenna farm.
All right.
Thanks.
Hey, no problem.
At the Mojave site, they had a station set up out at the pavilion doing 20-meter single sideband.
Delta 7, Golf Uniform.
They also had several trailers set up with digital stations and single sideband stations. I stopped into one of the trailers and talked to a couple of the guys that were operating.
All right, I'm sitting here in the smaller trailer, and we got a 40-meter single sideband or CW station going.
Both, actually.
Both. And then you're doing digital over on this one on 20.
Yep. FTA.
And we're talking to
Bruce, WA7JCN.
And
Nick, K7RM.
K7RM. Okay, and you know me. So, how's it going so far? You guys are the lucky ones. You got the air conditioner.
That's
right.
And that's probably the greatest part of the contact log today is the AC.
Yeah.
The bands are not in good shape, but we're still having fun.
Yeah. Making a few contacts. Well, you're on FT8, so yeah, you're racking them up. How's the sideband and CW going?
Pretty good. Unfortunately, getting a little interference from some of the other stations. So, I've got just a couple of CW on 20 and on 40, and
both of them should be starting to open up, though. I mean, we're getting closer to sunset.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you guys been a member of the club for quite a while? Years?
A couple of years.
Just a couple?
2 years, and I'm a vice president.
Oh, you're the vice president.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. I was talking to
Bill.
Bill out there, MIA. We were talking about the aircraft carrier that he was on. It's interesting. he mentioned it had 8 nuclear reactors, and I said, we've got to talk about this.
I was in the Air Force. We had about 50 Minuteman missiles. We win.
That's quite a bit. Yeah. But did you work in the capacity of radio when you were in the military? Or?
No, I was in computers.
In computers?
Just digital communications.
Yeah. What got you into ham radio?
I've been in ham radio since I was in high school.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Same here.
Just for 45 years.
Just for 45 years?
Yeah, as an adult. I got
very
a
short time.
as an adult. Yeah.
Well, this club out here, besides Field Day, do you guys do a lot of other events? Do you do things like fox hunts or any of that?
We don't do any fox hunts, but we do get involved in community service. Our big one for the year is the Red Kettle Run.
Red Kettle Run.
Yeah, we provide communications for that. And then we also, we have the 3 repeaters that cover all of Mojave County.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else we can get our fingers into, we like to.
Yeah, sure.
We try to be active.
Now, out here, there's mountains all over the place. I shot a few pictures outside. I imagine the repeaters are probably up on one of the mountains somewhere.
The ones that you can hear are,
yeah. What do you do for? Do you put them up where a commercial site is, where you already have power, or do you set up a solar setup for them, or how do you do that? Put them up?
We have commercial sites.
Commercial sites.
Yeah,
okay, so they've already got power run up there.
Yep.
Okay.
And the ones we have, they're lucky. We're lucky that they let us just put them up there and provide the power and no charge. Just because we provide emergency communication.
I was going to say probably some of that is because of the service that ham radio provides.
Yep.
You know, when they need you, you're there. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so we've got the one up on the Hualapai up in Getz Peak, and then we have one up on Spirit Mountain, which is above Laughlin.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we have one that's down in Havasu. We're still looking for a site up on, what's the name of that mountain in Havasu? Smith Peak or something like that. We're trying to get a site up there. So
I noticed as I was driving into this area, being a ham, you notice those towers and antennas up there all the time. And I would see the access roads that look like they're going up about like that. So
pretty much.
When you guys got to work on your repeaters, do you contact so-and-so who's got the 4x4, or do you ride up with one of the commercial service guys, or how do you get to, if you got to get up there and work on a repeater, how do you do that?
Well, fortunately, one of the commercial service guys is our club member.
Oh, okay.
So, but I can take my CRV up there. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Looking at those roads from down below, it looked like I wouldn't want to drive.
Actually, they get worse when you get further up, but
yeah. Okay, well, that's cool. This is just something I wondered about. All right. Well, hey, guys, thanks for talking to me, and good luck on your field day.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you.
As I mentioned, earlier I had spoken with Bill, KD7MIA, the club president, and he told me a very interesting story about a boat.
All right, so I'm talking to
Bill.
Bill. What's your call, Bill?
KD7MIA.
KD7MI.
MIA.
MIA.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep, that's me.
Missing in action.
Yeah.
Nah. Well, I noticed your hat, and of course I made a comment about he's from the Enterprise, and we got to talking, and he mentioned something about the Enterprise that caught my attention. It was a nuclear vessel, obviously, but
Right. It was the first one built.
First one built.
Aircraft carrier.
And how many reactors did it have?
8.
It had 8 nuclear reactors.
Yeah. 8.
Wow. Well, I guess a vessel that large needed a lot of power.
Well, I don't know. It did move rather quickly.
Oh, jeez, I'll bet so.
You know. When it when it really got moving,
Propane grill went poof.
the back end actually literally would kind of like bounce.
Really?
Yeah.
Just from the power.
Yeah.
So it was just pushing so hard it would
Yeah. And
kind of porpoise a bit.
we never knew really how fast it would go because it would get up to like 30 knots and that's where it stayed. Never went beyond that, but I'm sure it went fast.
Were you into radio when you were on the ship? Were you a radio operator or anything?
Well, I was what they call an aviation electronics tech. So I worked on all electronic systems on various aircraft.
Oh, okay. Including the radios.
Radios, radar, navigation, weapons, all kinds.
Oh, neat. Sounds like fun.
It was. You know, I really enjoyed it.
And you said something kind of sad. Now they're trying to figure out how they're going to scrap the Enterprise?
Basically, and they're trying to figure out how to do it the most economical way. Because for one estimate, was really crazy. It was like something like $2 billion
Wow.
because of to get the reactors out, and then
That's probably the biggest part of it because they've got to
That-
dispose of the fuel.
and there's a lot of
they probably already
asbestos. on
have asbestos, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the hazardous materials.
Oh yeah, and so right now it's in its original berth where they built it, and they're trying to decide whether to, do it in that area or drag it around to Bremerton, Washington, and do it there.
It
Time will
was
tell.
it was in a movie. It was in a Star Trek movie.
It was in a Star Trek movie, and they also did Top Gun on it.
Oh, that.
Yeah, I was on board when they filmed that one.
Really?
Yeah, it was '86.
So you meet the most interesting people at a field day site. Well, thanks for talking to me.
You're very welcome.
All right.
Good to talk to you. Take care.
After visiting with the Mojave Club for a little while, we hopped in the car and drove to the Hualapai Club's site. A modest site with a few stations, but another bunch of great guys.
Okay, so I'm sitting here with WB6G CGJ, and your name is
Dennis.
Dennis. Okay, Dennis. And he's working the mostly CW station out here.
Right.
So we were just looking at his box, as you can see here in these photos I took. It's a pretty cool old signal generator box he's turned into a Go box. And you were saying that field day is kind of your thing.
Yeah, I like doing field day. I've done it for many years. And I like to spend the night, work as many contacts as I can. And if you were here earlier, you'd see everybody talking and
Yep.
getting to know each other.
And you were sitting over here on the radio.
Well, both. I was at both places.
Well, I noticed you were a little bit busier on the radio than they were. But
but that's my passion, is to work as many stations as I can, especially on CW.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, you get extra point for
Yeah,
each contact.
Yeah, you get extra points.
So, has CW always been your favorite mode?
Yes.
Yeah.
I work all modes, but CW is my favorite.
Yeah. Field day at night. I remember when I was a kid, my dad and I would go to the club, and they'd all go to bed around 9 or 10 o'clock, and me and the other kids, we'd get on the radios
Be out all night.
all night. Yeah, because it gets quiet.
Well, the band opens up like magic. So
It does, yeah. So
Yeah.
you stick on the lower bands, mostly 40 and 80, or
yeah, 40 and 80.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 pretty much dies around 9 o'clock or so, 8 or 9
yeah.
on field day.
Yeah. Well, have fun. I hope you work a lot of contacts tonight.
Yeah, well, we're having a lot of fun.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Dennis.
All right. Thank you.
Inside the club's trailer, I found the president and vice president busily working contacts on the single sideband station. I sat down and we had a nice little chat about the club and some of the activities they participate in throughout the year.
All right. So I'm here with the president of the club,
Hualapai Amateur Radio Club.
Dave Admire.
David.
KE6.
I just talked to Dennis out there,
Yeah.
and my brain went Dennis. And I'm like, no, that's not right. David. And your call again?
KE6 HHL.
KE6HHL. And Kevin,
KD7HB.
KD7HV. Okay, vice president. And Kevin, so don't get us confused. All right, so how long has there's at least 2 clubs in town now? I hear that there's 3 or maybe 4.
Yeah, there's actually 4 in here.
Okay, which is the oldest club?
This one.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
The Haulapai Club is the oldest one.
Hualapai.
Hualapai.
Hualapai Amateur Radio Club.
Yeah.
Yeah. Us, northern guys, we don't know what we're doing. So this is the oldest club. Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to clarify that. By the way, warning. Bill was telling me there's something about a water balloon raid tonight.
Uh-oh.
He wanted me to do a recon, but no. So just heads up, you guys might be getting
Oh, well.
Like get watered.
Yeah, you can hide out in that boat.
We'll have to
outside.
go. We'll have to go.
Yeah, we'll hide the boat.
There you go. So this is the oldest club in town. How long ago was it established?
I'm not exactly sure, but I do remember seeing on the ARRL site for clubs that 1973 was the year I recall.
Mm-hmm.
So
1973.
it's been around for a pretty good time.
Actually been around since 1956.
Really?
56.
Wow.
56.
So he would know. He's been here longer.
And one of the other things you guys do, you were telling me about earlier, was the Andy Devine.
And the Divine Days Parade, we do that. The Andy Divine Days call sign is our call sign for the club.
And at this one this year, you're going to have something special.
Andy Devine's radios this year are going to be
Yes,
up there
they
working.
will be up and operating.
Andy Devine's original radios.
Yeah, his
Will be
radio.
up and running. Yes.
And for the people that don't know or might recognize the name but not sure why, he was a movie star
Yep.
Yes.
in the old westerns.
He did a lot of old westerns. He started a lot with John Wayne
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of his originals, like Stagecoach. He also starred in a couple of movies that were like aircraft related. I forget the titles of some of those movies, but Andy Devine has done a lot of TV. He had his own TV show, Andy's Gang, I think is what it was
Yeah.
called.
I think I've heard that.
Yeah, and then he
And-
also
and
starred,
so a pretty famous figure.
Pretty
He's,
famous
he's
figure.
from this area, though.
and he was from this area.
And is that going to be a special event station, like an official special event station, or are you guys just going to be on the air?
Well, we have his call sign, so we don't have to worry about a special
That's
event.
right. You do have his call sign,
Yes.
WB6RER.
Yeah.
He was a ham.
Yeah.
Yes,
He was a ham, and that was his call sign.
yes. He used to, well, like the sign up here says, he used to like to refer to it as Whiskey Bravo 6, red-eyed rooster.
Red-eyed
That's how
rooster.
he would call it out. So a lot of people, when we would use that, if we would just say W6RER or Romeo Echo Romeo, they would go, "Oh, red-eyed rooster," and they knew the call
They
sign.
knew and they remembered that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So what's the date that's going to be?
For the Andy Devine days, gosh darn,
I don't even remember.
it's late December. So
It's after Route
September.
66 on the air.
Yeah, September 20th comes to mind.
It's after Route 66 on the, and then you guys participate in that too.
That's correct.
I'm the coordinator for Route 66 on the air.
He's the coordinator for Route 66 on the air.
For the Kingman area.
For the Kingman area.
Yeah.
Oh.
W6F.
Yeah, our call sign for that is W6F.
So there you go. There's a couple of things that you can watch out for with these guys. The Route 66 on the air, W6F, that's a special event station.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is
And then the Andy Devine days, you'll have his actual radios set up and operating.
Correct.
And in the first day of Route 66 on the air, we're going to have the disc trailer will be down at the powerhouse, and we'll actually have his radios there too.
Okay. That's very
they
cool.
can
So if
come
you're in
see
the
'em.
Kingman area in late December,
Earl, that one there is actually like the 7th to like the 16th, I believe, is that
Of
one.
December.
Route 66.
Of September.
of September.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So if you're in the Kingman area around then, you said the power station?
Powerhouse.
Powerhouse. Okay.
Downtown Kingman.
Downtown Kingman, the powerhouse. Come check it out. This trailer will be there with Andy Devine's actual original radios, and they will be operating. So very cool. Well, okay, guys, thanks for talking to me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah,
That's
appreciate
what
it.
we do.
Well, there you go. I had a great time talking to the guys at both club sites in Field Day 2019. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, if you're not already a subscriber, click to subscribe. Join us on the Facebook channel for discussion about the videos. And if you'd like to help support this channel, please click to support me on my Patreon page.